Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a brand new TW9 video. I believe we're on episode 96, which is crazy. But we're on the road to Revolution after I'd say a pretty successful Blood and Guts. So I've already got a few ideas of where we're going to go with certain things. So what better thing to do than crack straight on. So this is this week's Dynamite, starting us off. So we're somewhere in Florida at the Addition Financial Arena. And we start off with the AEW World Champion. It is Bryan Danielson. Last Sunday at Blood and Guts, I was able to defeat Jay White and defend my AEW World Championship, and this final run with the belt continues, but I know it's down with one challenger, and on to the next as we head on the road to Revolution. We then hear elevated, and this is the announcement that Will Ospreay is on his way to the ring. Brian, mate, you and Jay had a great match on Sunday, an awesome title defence. That matchup really cheered me up after what I endured. And it's got me thinking it's been a hell of a long time since Will Ospreay tangled up with the American Dragon. It would be my honour, sir, to go against you at Revolution. He's then interrupted by the proto-star music. It is, of course, Kyle Fletcher. And he says, why, isn't this just typical Will Ospreay? I hate to tell you something, Will, but on Sunday, it was not you who was successful. It was me and Kenosuke Takeshita. So if anyone should be challenging for the AEW World Championship at Revolution, then it should be me. I will slay the dragon. And Brian says, you know what, this gives me a killer idea, which I'm sure Tony Khan and the authority team here at AEW will agree on. We don't have a main event matchup tonight, so how about Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, with the winner facing me at Revolution for the AEW World Championship. Nice simple way to set up our main event for the night, set up our main event for the pay-per-view, 83 segment, storyline advances. Brian came across well. Our opening contest for the evening was decent. The team of Jonah Daddio and Megan Bayne picking up a victory over Athena and Billy Starks in 13:59 when Megan Bayne pinned Billy Starks. So a decent opener here. Of course, we are promoting the tag team tournament. Well, it's not really a tournament, I suppose. It's just going to be matches, and then we'll put 4 teams together that have momentum as we crown AEW Women's Tag Team Champions at Revolution. The match got a 69 segment. I'd say in terms of performance, pretty much close in terms of performance. Billy a little bit off, but again, with her age, you can be happy with that one. But yeah, good one here for Megan Bayne and Billy Starks is taking a fall. Sorry, Megan Bayne and Giona with a win. We then see the former kind of tandem, you could say, the loser of the AEW Women's World Championship match, Chris Statlander, and her former tag partner, you could say, Priscilla Kelly. Priscilla says, listen, Stat, I know your plan didn't come together against Mercedes. I mean, if you told me, I could have helped you out. But no, it had to be all about Stat, didn't it? And she just turns round, basically grabs Priscilla Kelly, puts her up against the wall and says, listen, I do not have time for this. And she freaks out, basically. But it was just making a way, like, obviously we turned Statlander face, so that's making sure we end this tandem. Obviously she's frustrated with what Mercedes done at the pay-per-view. 69 for the segment. Me tying up loose ends, who'd have thought? Next up, a decent matchup was for the Continental Championship. And it was a decent matchup that saw Darby Allin defeat Jay Lethal in 10:29 with the coffin drop. This was our storytelling matchup of the evening, and I think they've done a good job, all things considered. Darby with 78, Jay Lethal with 52, giving us a segment of a 70. But we have to find the next challenger, and this is where it begins. Darby picks up the win, and then he's blindsided by a hooded figure who beats the utter crap out of him to such an extent that Darby is completely motionless. The man pulls down his hood to reveal that he is Gabe Kidd. And he says it's time to kill the man who believes they cannot be killed. And of course that is Darby Allin. So a 68 segment, their storyline begins with this segment. Then of the Wilds Brawl that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from our audience that saw Eddie Kingston defeat Rush in 13:39 with the blackout lariat. 72 for Eddie, 87 fantastic from Rush there. Overall the segment was a 78, losing a few points because of the lack of psychology. This leads to some words though from Eddie Kingston, and he says, since I've come back from my injury last year, yeah, I'll say it, I've been on a good run, but there's one match, one man, and it pisses me off that he beat me, and I haven't had the chance to overcome it. I want to be the best here and a world champion, and I want to prove that by kicking everyone's asses, good or bad. So that wrong, that I'm going to write. I want a fight, and I want to fight with you, Kevin Steen. So these two tangled up when Eddie came back. Steen picked up the win. But this just says, I look forward to what you have to say. But there's a challenge laid for Kevin Steen. The segment was an 88. Pretty good stuff there, and yeah, looking forward to this one. We then hear that Mercedes Moné will be on Collision this Saturday. She will be talking about, the Moné Corporation expanding with new members, of course. If you didn't see the pay-per-view, it was the debuts of King Kota and Roxy, who they were expecting to align alongside Chris Statlander, but no, Mercedes is their hero, so that's who they've opted to join. And a 75 segment for unveiling Mercedes. We then had a decent matchup. The Kings of the Black Throne look like they're on the same page. They defeated the Time Splitters in 10:33 when Malachi Black pinned Kushida with the Dante's Inferno. This was our Steal the Show matchup. Brody King carried this matchup with an 84 performance. Good stuff. Storyline starts with this one. The end is nigh. A 71 for the wrestling and a 75 segment overall. As the Kings of the Black Throne, are they back on the same page with this one? I'm unsure, as Brody King barely sees any action, and they seem to look a bit of anger and despair towards each other. We then cut backstage as Kushida and Alex Shelley have made their way back through the curtain. Shelley says, listen man, it's been a great journey, but I can't keep losing. I think it's time. The camera pans around, and just standing there with a smug look on his face is Chris Sabin. So obviously I was building up to it for weeks, but obviously we are kind of moving on from the Time Splitters, and we are all in with the Motor City Machine Guns. So the end is nice, storyline advances, more stuff between Brody and Malachi, a 66 segment, and the fan favourite gimmick for Chris Sabin. Initial rating of poor. That's a shame. Next up, more women's tag team action, and it's a decent matchup that saw the team of Becky Quinn and Valkyrie defeat Marina Shafir and Masha Slamovich in 10:47 when Becky pinned Masha with the Exploder Suplex. A 72, pretty solid stuff here. Good performances from Becky and Masha, but of course we are looking, the two Irish women look strong. We then hear from Paul Heyman, and he says, last Sunday, Ua and Ricochet once again let the world know the greatest tag team on this planet is in AEW and is under my guidance. FTR, Cope and Christian, just two of the many tag teams who can't hang. And I find it funny that Alex Shelley found himself an old friend, because I'm sure that's going to be one machine gun that'll be out of ammunition. That's too much GTA. 1 month to Revolution, 1 month for a team to step up. So a 77 segment, as they are still your tag team champions. Believe it's main event time on Dynamite, and this one was superb wrestling with good heat, and we had Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher go to a 20-minute time limit draw. I really wanted to save this one for the pay-per-view, but I felt like, you know what, I want this triple threat match to happen, and I feel it gives Brian just fresh people competing in there. It adds another feud to it. So this one, the wrestling was a 90, the crowd was a 77, the segment was an 87, Ospreay with a 91, Fletcher with an 89. I believe this is our first one-on-one match in this save, which is good to see they're getting this score. It also got a little boost for the creative finish. I believe you'll obviously lose points for it being a draw, but at the same time you'll lose a few points for the lack of psychology. But I think we could have boosted that into the 90s. But yeah, absolutely delighted with that. Around the show, we've had it confirmed that AEW Revolution, the main event will be Bryan Danielson versus Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay for the AEW Men's World Championship. So the storyline advances. Bryan's performance was good. Segment was an 87. 86 for our overall show rating, and we increased our popularity in 14 regions. Oh my god, what happens when I actually pay attention to storylines? We actually get somewhere. So there you go. We even had the penalty we usually get for not enough stories advancing through matches. Even that happened. So good stuff there. But I think we brought up a lot of stuff there. You've obviously got your main event. We've got the tag team situations in both the men's and the women's divisions. You've got the stuff between the Kings of the Black Throne, Kingston and Steen, Gabe Kidd, Darby Allin, and that is only on the Dynamite side of things, because we are now going to hop along and do Collision. We move over to the Kaseya Centre, wherever the hell that is, for Collision, and we start off with the winner of the Blood and Guts match from Sunday night. It is, of course, MJF. He does an evil laugh and then says, "Last Sunday the Elite were shown to be nothing more than the past. A bunch of losers who finally met their demise to the future generation, the true backbone of this company, with me atop of the hill." Now, I watched Dynamite and I was like, what the hell is this? Bryan Danielson giving Fletcher and Ospreay a chance? What kind of shit is that? It should be me. I should be the number one contender. I am the best all-round wrestler in this company. I am the best, and I should be champion again. He's interrupted by Walter. His music plays and he comes to the ring. And he goes, MJF, you're such a comedian. The best wrestler in this company, son, you're looking at him. I could wrestle rings around you. Now, don't get me wrong. What you did in Blood and Guts was mighty impressive. But really, what are you going to do when it's me and you in the ring and all those lackeys around you are nowhere to be seen? Maybe just don't worry about the dragon. Worry about me. So setting up a wee bit of a thing here between MJF and Walter. The storyline advances, the backbone, so it's a long storyline. The segment was in 82. MJF came across well. Our opening contest was the new TNT champion in action, Mark Briscoe, and in a very decent match he defeats Michael Lockwood in 12:08 with a froggy bow. This gives him his first defence of the TNT championship. Both guys with great chemistry, we boosted them up a little bit, and a 67 segment overall for Mark Briscoe. We then hear from the new TNT champion and he says, "It's about damn time that you people start respecting me. About time you put some respect on Mark Briscoe's name. Samoa Joe is a big bad man and I kicked his ass and took his title. So what does that make me? A really bad man. So anyone who steps up to try and take this title, like this little bitch did, will just get hurt. Them boys style." So words there from Mark Briscoe that he is still pissed, he is champion, but he's still a very angry man. And that was a 78 rated segment. Moving along, we had some words from your still world champion. And the reason the segment only looks for 45 is just because there's so many people in the background, because she is basically spreading the overness that she has, and hopefully that can cater to the rest of the Money Corporation. Last Sunday, Chris Statlander thought she had the game plan against me, but what she realised is, never mind money talking, it was money talking. You see, Roxy and Kota, they look up to me, they are inspired by me, and I know alongside Nixon, Sky Blue and Bailey, together, we run the world. I'm the queen of this company, hell, I rule this business, and my stamp will be all over it far after when I've retired. Now let Roxy show you what she's made of. So Roxy will be in action next. So the performance of Mercedes Money here was fantastic. Obviously, you take the popularity of the others in here. Bailey's obviously on the high side, but the likes of King Kota, Nixon, Roxy and Sky Blue all need to get built up over time. So being in segments with Mercedes will help that, but it will affect the segment until they obviously get there. But I think Mercedes is just lower than 80 overness, so she's in a great position. And yeah, a 6-woman stable. Let's see how it goes. Roxy's match though was decent, didn't have much heat, and she defeats Emi Sakura in 8:44 with the Code Rock. Storytelling match of the evening, a 63 segment, 64 performance from Emi was very good, and a 56 from Roxy, but again, she's a protege, she's only going to get better. Next up we have AJ Styles with his protege Nick Wayne, talking about tonight's main event. So Nick, what an opportunity you have tonight. You can win the AEW International Championship from Kazuchika Okada. Now if anyone has experience against Okada, it's me. We had many a big match in Japan, so let's talk about a game plan. So they start talking, you can see Nick just kind of rolling his eyes like, come on AJ, really, we're still doing this? So their storyline advances, lost a little bit of heat, but the segment was a 63. Next matchup was a wild brawl with subpar wrestling and little heat. Shibata defeats Lance Archer in 7:28 by pinfall. So this one sadly only gets a 38. This is with Shibata off his game, but because these two don't have the required level of overness that our crowd would like. Truthfully, this was squeezed in as a last minute, oh my god, I need a wild brawl match. But it turned out we had a segment right after the what? So Shibata picks up the win, and he heads up the ramp and we hear the music of the Backbones Wheeler Yuta. Shibata looks confused. And then out of nowhere, he is smashed by Wardlow. Wardlow continues to beat him down as Wheeler Yuta heads to the ring. So a 51 segment here. The performance of Wardlow was good. Yuta performed poorly. This is a redemption arc. We need to get Yuta over. This guy was in massive matches with Bryan Danielson to now nothing. This is why, hopefully, he can flourish in the backbone. So a decent matchup. He took on Lee Moriarty and he wins in 12:53 with the Yuta lock, so submission victory. These two guys have great chemistry together and that showed in their performances. It got us a rating of 70, Moriarty with 68, to Wheeler Yuta's 64. After it, we have some words from Wheeler Yuta, and he says, "Who the hell do you think you are, Walter? Did you see what we did to the Elite last week? I have no problem, alongside my brothers, taking you out. So next week on Collision, I challenge you to a match." Crazy, crazy man. So a 56 segment for the promo from Yuta. So next week's Collision, I can confirm 2 matches in advance, which I really do. You're going to see Wheeler Yuta take on Walter, and you're also going to see Wardlow take on Katsuburi Shibata. Moving along, next up we had a decent matchup that saw Johnny Gargano defeat Kyle O'Reilly in 13:33 with Hart's Donut. This was a steal the show matchup. A very impressive performance from Gargano was a 76. The matchup itself was a 72. And as you can see, the BG Black and Gold Deja Vu storyline has advanced. Or started anyway. Adam Cole has a few words after it. He goes, "Oh no, 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 no. We're not doing this again. The Undisputed Kingdom has dealt with Johnny Gargano before. We're not picking this up again. Get the hell out of my face. Get the hell out of my life." So Adam Cole wants nothing to do with Johnny Gargano. 81 rated segment, so promising from Adam Cole there. And the storyline advanced and gained heat, which I think sets us up for a main event, possibly. Yep, straight to it. Superb matchup, and Okada picks up the win over Nick Wayne in 23:29 with a Rainmaker, so we gave Okada a good bit of time. Second defensive international championship, and 84 for the wrestling, and 82 segment overall. Nick Wayne, man, impressive 72. His storyline advanced and gains heat, but can we talk about that Okada 96? Imagine these two had great chemistry, or excellent chemistry. This would have probably hit the 100. So absolutely delighted with that one. And overall, 80 for a show. That's quite fair actually. 82, 81. Yep, that's quite fair. And obviously we're limited the growth with just our Collision shows, but overall, pretty solid stuff. So a few things moving on. I'll move over to the B shows and the roundup because my voice is starting to go. So I finished the week in AEW with a wee quick look at the, well, things that have happened in the wrestling world, and of course our news items. We'll quickly cover that one first. So Luca Cristofino, I'm assuming that's one of the NXT guys. I don't follow NXT, so yeah. Mike Bennett, I think I'll probably let him go, I think. When did we last use him? Well, I'm saying that he's been quite recently enhanced talent on Rampage. He has a win record of 8-24. Go on then, Mike, have a handshake. Mel McKenzie, yep. We'll give her one as well. Obviously, 25, plenty of room to grow. As I say, that's a developmental deal, so that's fine. We can go ahead and do that. That's cool. Myron Reed says ROH is too small for him. I know, but I don't really have anything for you on the main roster at this point. I think he would just be doing like casual matches on thingies, on the B show. So I'll hold him for just now, and I'll let him get a wee bit more angry. Yuka has become a comedy wrestler, and we have our 1.52 rating for Collision and 2.9 million viewers for Shockwave, so pretty much the stand-up. So looking here, you can see sadly we have the death of Robert Gibson. He has passed away in our save. JBL is in an argument with the Pig Destructor. That was a thing. Anything else here? Estrella Divina has won the AAA Arena de Arenas Championship. Apart from that, you get Charlie Evans, Charlie Evans, a footballer. Charlie Evans arguing with John Anderson. But yeah, and Preston Vance an argument as well with EJ and Duca. So yeah, not too much there. As I say, sad to see the death of Robert Gibson. I've noticed quite a few older wrestlers passing, especially from offline save. I think I had Sting, Big Show, just to name a couple. Lance Storm as well. So we'll finish up with the B-Show roundup, just to let you see what's happening in there, who we're gaining momentum to, who's just honing their craft effectively. So I had Mark Davis defeat John Silver in a 65. Discussions between Reynolds and Silver was a 45. Trios action saw Sarii, Starlight Kid and Hikaru Shida defeat Steph Delander, Bunny and Camille in a 63. Some words with Ricochet and Ua, the tag champs, was a 69. Before Ricochet defeats Action Andretti in a 79. Must be said, Ricochet brought a 91 performance in that match. Some words between Sabin and Shelley, the Motor City Machine Guns, was a 51. And our main event sadly wasn't great, but it was Kevin Knight over Lance Archer for the surprise win. On a Shockwave, we had some words from the rest of the Monet Corporation bar Mercedes, so Bailey led the way with 57. King Kota and Nixon Newell teamed up to defeat Starlight Kid and Takuma Aroa in a 66. Sabi Guevara defeated Trevor Lee in a 65. Tony Storm over Giselle Shaw in a 62. We then had a hype package for Dalton Castle, which was a 63, before he lost to Brody King in a 65. We had tensions between Brody and Malachi, which was a 71. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Mike Bailey in a 74 main event, and then Zack Sabre Jr. decides to tell us it's time to do stuff here, it's time to start moving up the card and winning some damn championships. So, that is it. That is the week in AEW. Overall, I'd say a pretty good Dynamite and Collision, and hopefully momentum that we can keep up on the road to Revolution. So as always, thanks for watching. Any comments would be appreciated. A wee thumbs up as well. And remember to check out the Fantasy Bookers subreddit, Grey Dog Software forums, twdb.com and bethebooker.net. Until next time, in a few days' time, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.